Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Backstage Bimbo TV. It's me, Allison Rouse, your most notorious groupie, and author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie, me. That's right, folks. That's right. I'm back for another week of cocktails and rocktails, and thank you again for all the cool people that I've met. Lucille for having my back against that horrible troll hiding behind a fake profile and false accusations. I appreciate you, girl. And to that troll, you want to fight me? Come at me. Don't hide behind anything. Let me see who you are. You have something to say? Say it full face, not hiding behind the bullshit. Okay? Bring it. All right. So with that said, we're going to do another episode of Nikki Sixx. That's right, folks. This is on the Dr. Feelgood. And these were the hospital bracelets for the VIP guests. This is in Seattle during the first time I was in Seattle. So if you guys have watched that video, you know every crazy thing that was going on during that time. So this was the first time in Seattle. I believe this was 1990 because we were there from January to March, Dani and I. So yeah, this was somewhere between there. Motley Crue, Seattle. And today's cocktail is going to be the Dr. Feelgood. It is Dr. Pepper and a little bit of vanilla vodka. So everybody, grab your grab your feel goods, kick up your feet, and let's have some cocktails and rocktails, shall we, folks? Cheers, big ears. Pretty good. I don't normally drink soft drinks. I don't like them. I don't really drink a whole lot at all or anything else. But anyway, so this is Seattle in 1990, early. If you guys have seen my Seattle the first time video, you know everything that was going on. Dani and I were kind of cast out from a friend's house because she lied to us and all this stuff. But I'll put a link to that one down in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. So Dani and I were staying at the Camlin Hotel. We knew Motley Crue was coming to town. Wanted to get dolled up and ready to go, and that we did, and we knew that they were going to be in town the night before. Our friend Jason was with us. He's a friend on my Facebook, Jason McKibben. Shout out to him. Without him, we never would have made it that first time in Seattle. Love him so much. And he was here. We actually introduced him to Doc McGee, the manager, cruise manager at the time. So anyway, we didn't have a car in Seattle, obviously, the first time we lived up there. So we were going from our hotel. We heard that they were staying at the Four Seasons. And we had to go past Razz, a strip club, which eventually would be bought by Deja Vu. But at the time, it was owned by a woman named Pam. Pam is foster mom to Tammy Down and Faster Pussycat. He lived in Seattle too. And they happened to be opening up for Motley Crue. So as we were walking by Razzmatazz in the downtown Seattle area, all of a sudden there's this white car. Like an old Lincoln or something. One of those weird slapbacks. And I assume it was Pam's because I got to know Pam my second time in Seattle because Deja Vu bought Razzmatazz from Pam but kept her on as general manager of the club. So anyway, we're walking by Razzmatazz. Dani and I are just talking. We're like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. We need this night out. Because we always need a good night out with the band. So, and all of a sudden, and you know, we're just feet from this car. It's parked right there. The parking lot of Razzmatazz is kind of up front. And I look down and there's all of a sudden a window rolling down. And I look over and I hear, hey, ladies. Like I said, the rock and roll mating call. Hey, ladies. Pretty much. And I look over and there's Tammy Down, there's Brent, there's Greg, and all the guys in this car. And they're like, are you coming to work here tonight? We're like, no, we're headed over to the Four Seasons to hook up with some friends. And they were like, oh, really? You're not strippers? We're like, no, we're not strippers because I was not a stripper yet. I wasn't a stripper until 1991 when I was 20 years old. And so we recognized and they introduced themselves. We're like, good to meet you, and just hanging out and talking. And they're like, well, if you're coming over there, why don't we just give you a ride? my mom and Tammy was telling me how his foster mom, Pam, had owned the strip club, and that's what they were doing there, and they were just headed back to the hotel. So we jump in the car with Fast Pussycat. Boom! To the hotel we go, and the hotel bar. Now, at the hotel at the time, there was going on the Miss Snow Queen pageant, which is a drag queen pageant. Nothing wrong with that. All these just statuesque, beautiful drag queens, and a couple of them in the 80s rocker kind of pretty woman style dress. Could not tell. You could not tell. You could not tell. Absolutely beautiful women. So we go into the hotel bar with the boys, and they're like, well, what friends are you going to meet? And I look up, and there's Nikki Sixx. I said, that one. So I go right over to Nikki Sixx, and I walk right up to him. I'm like, hey. And he kind of looks back. He's like, do I know you? He's like, I know you. I was like, yeah, you do. Salt Lake City. A couple years ago. He was like, oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, he's like, the elevator. He's like, we were stuck in the elevator. And I was like, yes. And Tommy Lee's right there. He's like, fuck, dude, I remember the old dude. And so we're just, getting to know each other. He gives me a big hug. He's like, let me get you a drink. So we get a drink. He's like, did you guys come over? And Dani comes over, and she's sitting there with Tommy and guys in Fast Pussycat. So we just all end up in this big table and booth together, having drinks, and the night progresses. And like I said, there's all these beautiful drag queens walking around in and out of the hotel bar, doing the pageant, everything. It was just so awesome. Having a good time catching up with stuff, right? Yep. Jump on Nikki's lap, because like I say, that's how a groupie marks her territory. And you've seen it in a ton of other pictures from groupies in the past. We're all sitting on those guys' laps, because guess what? We're marking our territory. Mm-hmm. So anyway, night progresses, and when I had gone to the bathroom, I ran into these two specific drag queens in the 80s gear. And we're just talking to them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll come in and have a drink. So they come in, sit down at the table, we introduce, everybody's having a good time. Tammy's hitting on one of the drag queens. I don't think Tammy knew at this point. In fact, I know he didn't. And there's nothing wrong with, whatever type of sexuality you want to have between consenting adults. Nothing wrong. You be free, you be you. I be me, you be you. And we all live happily in the field of dandelions, because I have no problem with anybody choosing who they are and being respectful with it. So anyway, Tammy's like, wow, she's gorgeous. And he's hitting on her. And, me and Tommy and Dani and Nikki are just kind of sitting back. And Nikki's like, does he know that's a drag queen? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it was kind of hard to tell at first, but because wow. And he was like, right. And we were all agreeing they were beautiful. So anyway, next thing you know, about 5 minutes later, Tammy goes upstairs with said beautiful, long-legged creature. Lovely creature. Not to be mean, but, just a lovely, gorgeous being. And we're like, we kind of lean over to Brantley and them. Does Tammy know that's drag queens? It's like, no. They are? We were like, yeah. And the one drag queen left over was like, oh yeah, honey. I pee next to you in the boys' room. Okay, cool. Everybody was cool, fine with it. But then we started placing bets. Because like I said, on the road, we're a betting bunch of fools. Because we're bored. So we start placing bets about how many more minutes it's going to take for Tammy to come down. And if he stays up there too long, So, and even the drag queens were getting in on this bet. So, Tommy won the bet at, I think it was another 10 minutes and 34 seconds or something like that. And we were timing it. Doc was there. We were timing it. And yeah, Tommy won the bet on that. So, Tammy comes back down to the table like, why didn't you guys tell me? Like the most broken little kid. We're like, we didn't know if you knew or not. And we weren't judging anybody over here. I mean, by this time, we all knew who was gay and rock and roll and who wasn't. And Tammy is not, that I'm aware of. But, yeah, he kind of came down skulking like a little kid. But, everybody still stayed at the table. We all had a good time and finished the night out. Went upstairs with Nikki. Finished that night out again. I always love being with Nikki because he's fun. Like, he's always been lighthearted and fun and just really sweet in bed. And what do you like? And ha ha ha. And, very a man and in control in bed. So, of course, I'm going to go for this. So, we wake up the next day. I'm like, and, we were talking. He's like, what are you doing up here? And we're like, well, we're kind of hanging out for a while. We're staying over at the Camlin. Kind of explain the situation without fully explaining the situation because you don't want them to feel sorry or whatever. So he's like, cool. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back to my hotel. I'll meet you back here. We made plans to meet everybody, Dani and I, Tommy and Nikki, back there a few hours later before the gig. So we go to the hotel. We jump in the limo and we come screaming into the Seattle Center. Getting out of the car, tons of groupies hanging out. We're like, hey, we're here. We're having a great time, because in that time of Seattle where it was so unsure and Dani and I were so scared and so on our own and not willing to call our parents for help because they would have, we're out here just trying to be independent and stubborn. So we needed this really great time, and we had such a great time the night before. Now, this is Dr. Feelgood Tour. Everybody's just crammed. I mean, this whole arena is crammed to the max up in Seattle. So we decide we're going to go out to the FOH, as we do sometimes, because we want to see the show. We want to see the effects that everybody else sees, because you don't see the same show from the side of the stage that you do from the front. So we go out, and I've got this tiny little spandex. It's still the 80s. It's still that spandex. It's kind of cut out in the stomach with these rhinestones and stuff. And, like, cute little silver heels and my silver little purse and stuff. So that's what I'm wearing. And Dani and I go out to the front of the house. And they're like, come in after. And Nikki told me, he's like, come to the side of the stage after a certain song. I'll have Doc waiting for you by the backstage. And Jason had met us up there and was backstage with us because we kind of like to keep Jason around because he's a great guy and he really had our backs and he knew Seattle. So we had introduced everybody around, Jason around to everybody. They were like, cool. But Jason was backstage. So Dani and I, at the end of the one song, they told us to come back to the side of the stage, and we're trying to get back. And I mean, it's packed, like nobody's trying to part for us. They just thinking we're trying to show our passes to the security guards. So the security guards are trying to drag us, and we're like, fuck this. So we find two guys. And as I've called them before, I call them my man camels. Because you jump on their shoulders, on their back, and they get you through that crowd. And I jumped on this guy's back, and Dani jumped on his back, and I'm directing him by the back of his shirt. I'm like, okay, go this way, you need to go this way. And, Nikki was running across the stage, and he just came over to the side of the stage to kind of check to see if we were coming. And he looks up, and he's like, what? And he sees Dani and I just like, whee! Because we're just going to be cheesy ass motherfuckers. You heard us in the Metallica Part 3 from Denver video. We are just crazy, stupid, silly little girls. So and Nikki's trying not to laugh, and Tommy doesn't see us because he's just going, at his drums, what he does. And so finally we get our man camels to the side of the stage, and the security guards help us down, the roadies and stuff help us down. Take us backstage, and we have a good time the rest of the night, watch the rest of the show. Went back to the hotel with Nikki. We kind of wandered Seattle for a little bit, and he's like, yeah, it is pretty up here, because he wanted to get out of the hotel, away from everybody else after the show, get some air, and cool. And we just walked around Seattle for a couple of hours, just hanging out and talking and enjoying Seattle. That was the first night I really got to enjoy the city and find Gasworks Park and find out, we went to the Doghouse, which was a 24/7. Back in the day, you would see everybody from, like, again, when Mother Love Bone was around, Nirvana, My Sister's Machine, Hey Owen, and a lot of other Seattle bands. This was a late night munchy place a la Denny's style, but way better. Now, Best Cafe is the best omelets in Seattle. So good. So you're ever up there, and I think it's still open. I'm not sure, but if it is, hit Best Cafe. Doghouse is not open anymore. But so, yeah, Nikki and I just enjoyed our night. And, that's kind of what I always liked about Nikki. If he found someone he liked to talk to, he would like really take advantage of it and enjoy it and make a night of that, you know, cerebral connection and foreplay. And that's what we did. And we spent the rest of the night, and Dani and I went back to our Camlin hotel. And Nikki even asked me, he's like, are you sure you're okay? We're fine. We're going to be all right. We were headed back down to Salt Lake City via Las Cruces, New Mexico and all that. Anyway, whole other story there. But so there you guys go. That was us hanging out with Motley Crue in Seattle. Tammy Down got a little down because he didn't get it up, unfortunately. Got to be with Nikki again and really, really like enjoy him as a human being for the first time, which was really cool because you guys know how much I love enjoying my rockers as a human beings. So there you guys go. There's Nikki Sixx, number 2 for you guys. And sorry for the rant earlier in the vlog about the hater, but thing is, they're posting at other places. And in this day and age, being accused of being a drug addict or anything else is very damaging. And I have a lot of stuff going on that I have worked my ass off for how many years? 15 on this book. That I'm not going to let anybody lose. So I'm going to address it here. I don't do opioids, never have. I have allergies. I have a heart condition, mitral valve prolapse. I really am boring. Booze and weed. And I am within the legal rights of my state to do that. Okay? So thank you guys listening. Thank you for all the love. Love you guys so much. Just, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate and love you guys. All right, so don't forget to hit the share button, hit the like button, hit my bells, and we'll see you next week for some more cocktails and rocktails. Cheers, big ears.